Jerry Cummiskey of the Binghamton University Bearcats men's and women's swimming and diving team, their head coach here inside of the 2024 season for this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom. Jerry, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, to have you here this morning on the broadcast inside of Bearcat Time, I think it's important to look at your journey personally and how you got to Binghamton University. I know you spent some time there. You've had some success over these past few seasons. But what was the road of dominoes, so to speak, that got you to Binghamton?
Sure. I guess going back to even, my college career, I was interested in maybe going into athletic training. Started that year one and just didn't really love it. Thought, traveling a lot, working nights and weekends wasn't what I wanted to do. So made a transition there to try to be more of a phys ed teacher and coach a bit and maybe lifeguard in the summers, and sounded pretty good. And then post college, just got into coaching and kind of found my way doing some club coaching. And then got an opportunity, close to home at Bryant University, and I was there for 6 years and learned a lot, and really kind of led me here. Even when I looked at Binghamton initially, when this opportunity opened, it wasn't necessarily something I thought that I'd really do. I liked being a Rhode Islander and was kind of set in my ways. And then, once I got here and saw campus, just saw the possibilities of what this team could be and what a great place it is. So, it's been a quick 5+ years here and we enjoy it.
You talked about Bryant University being close to home and out in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and you said, being a proud Rhode Islander, you thought that was kind of where you were going to be. You're not by a body of water in Binghamton. So
Nope.
how did you transition? Like you said, as a proud Rhode Islander, what was it about Binghamton? Like you said, Bryant close to home and having that familial community. Why did Binghamton speak to you enough to make you challenge yourself out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I think it was just a variety of things in terms of the timing was right. I was ready for kind of a new challenge. And I saw kind of the pieces in place with the team before I got here that, they'd been pretty good. I felt like the opportunity was there with such great academics and New York swimming being very strong, that we could get some good kids here and continue to grow. So it just seemed like, the right fit where we could have some success. We had done really well at Bryant, so we were used to competing for championships, and that was something I didn't want to give up. It was just really the timing was right to try something new. I had a little bit of family here, so that made it a little bit easier to come here and have some familiar faces and work through it that way. But certainly miss being near the water, but get some chances during the summer to go home and take advantage of it.
What's been your favorite part, Jerry, of Binghamton's community, of Vestal, New York, and the Southern Tier? What
Yeah, I mean,
sticks out to you?
the people are great. We found our way kind of on the west side, a lot of easygoing people, and it's just kind of a smooth way of life. I go back to the Northeast and sit in traffic some days and get a little frustrated here. That doesn't exist. I've got
Yeah.
a blinking yellow light on my way to work and it's pretty easy. So just the pace of life has been nice. To be able to come and go from campus, being, probably 3 miles from here, it's made that balance, a lot more obtainable.
I'm always a fan of what's in the room, and here inside of my studio, everything that's on camera and off camera has meaning and a purpose. So I'm looking behind you, I'm seeing some hats, I'm seeing what looks like a run of some pictures, I'm seeing a bunch of papers over your shoulder and your whiteboard. So bring me into your office, how you would describe your office and what notables are there for you, because I also call something controlled chaos, where I have to have a certain like there might be a stack of papers somewhere, but it's because that napkin that I wrote on and that back of the envelope that I wrote on, if I don't have it in front of me, I'll forget about it. So bring me
Sure.
into your office and how you would describe it and kind of what the makeup is.
Sure. I definitely have my stack of scrap paper and notes and things to get done, to my side here. And I've got a couple photos and banners from some of our championship seasons and team photos. And the rest of it is a lot of New England sports memorabilia. I got Fenway Park behind me and Gillette Stadium and some championship posters from the years. So a lot of the New Yorkers that we recruit don't love coming in here and seeing all the New England stuff, but
Yeah.
it just makes me feel at home. So
So I have to ask you this. I am a Jaguar fan.
okay,
I've been a Jaguar fan since they started back in '95. I was with the team, covering the team in Foxborough a few years back. And so one step out of the Super Bowl, and New England went forward. Jacksonville did not. It was their third trip to the AFC Championship game, but they have yet to be to a Super Bowl. So my question to you is, I know that you and I have not met face to face, but do you want to give me some positive energy? Maybe an apology. So, but
it's funny. I can remember that night, that AFC Championship game. We used to host a big Super Bowl party at our house, and I was at a club meet, I remember, in Worcester, and was driving back while that game was going on
yeah,
and listening on the radio, and they were losing, and all I could think was like, oh man, this Super Bowl party is going to be so much lamer without the Patriots in it. It was just so angry. And then as they caught up, I think I got home to see the last 5 minutes of the game, and that Super Bowl was a lot more fun. So
yeah. No, I mean it was definitely great to be there. But I will say this, and I'm guessing you've been to Gillette Stadium.
yep.
So going to Foxborough, going to Gillette, and I actually told this story yesterday to a bunch of Bills fans. I said when I was walking into the stadium, I looked down at the ground and I saw my reflection, and I had my laptop bag over my shoulder, and I looked down and I saw that I saw that shadow. So it is not reflection. I saw the shadow, and when I looked up, the building was right there. I was a few steps out, and I'll never forget this. I looked down, saw my shadow, looked up, saw it, and as I walked forward, something inside of me said, "This is different." I felt like I was walking into the belly of the beast. I felt like this was a place where very few people come out with a victory, and just the air felt tangible and it felt different. And when I was describing this to people yesterday, they're like, I can feel it. Like I could feel it in the hair on my arm. Can you parallel me in that respect? I mean, I'm looking at it from the side of like a Jaguars fan, but when I went there in there as a broadcaster, right, I'm an impartial broadcaster, I could feel, I've been into a lot of arenas and a lot of different sports by the grace of God. This felt different. Like I can feel when I describe it. Do you get
Right.
that sense of it? Does Gillette feel like just a different place?
Yeah, I think so. And I think certainly during that 20-year run, it definitely did. I don't know. I haven't been back in the last couple of years. It might not feel the same now, but in those great years with Brady and Belichick, like you just had, even the fans, the crowd, everyone had that like sense of like no one's gonna beat us. Like it's very unlikely. And even you read the stories the pros say of kind of coming up in Foxborough. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So like
Yeah.
as they've built it up, it's not the same anymore. But they used to just drive down this kind of wooded road, and all of a sudden the stadium comes out of nowhere, and it's kind of like, where are we? So it's always had that kind of allure. And I think just them being so good for so long, they knew they were supposed to beat you. The fans knew it. So everyone kind of had that expectation and that confidence, which I think just kind of built it up even more.
So this is my all-important question to you before we jump into this season with Binghamton swimming and
Sure.
diving. Drake May, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Milton the third. Who's your quarterback if you're the head coach? If you're Gerard Mayo, who's your quarterback?
Right now.
Yeah.
Um, I think you got to stick with Brissett just because the lines look so terrible. Um, if they can figure that out, I think you want to get Drake May some time if he's going to be your guy next year, so he's better for it next year. And Milton is intriguing. I don't know that he's the answer, but he's certainly fun to watch. So, um, I'd almost be inclined to see him play before May if the line's not right.
Yeah. And one of my predictions at the beginning of the season is that we would see him either in a goal line or a special package that Joe Milton will play as a true freshman coming out of Tennessee. Got an arm on him too.
Oh
So
yeah.
getting into the pool, Jerry, when for you? When did this become a passion, a thing? I mean, swimming and diving is such a unique world, and I've been around it for many years. And my mom got me in the water when I was, in a diaper. Like
Yeah.
she taught me how to swim, and then I taught my cousins how to swim. Like I
Sure.
could live in the pool. So when did this start for you that you were like, hey, this is special. This is unique. Like, let's go back to the beginning of when this really kind of meant something
Right.
more to you.
Yeah, I think I was similar in the sense of, my parents got me in the water at a young age. And a lot of like a lot of our swimmers, the kids we recruit, started swimming at 5 or 6 competitively, which wasn't my path. I took lessons, stayed in the water, but growing up, I enjoyed playing baseball, basketball. Would have loved to have played basketball probably through high school, but just um, you know, was too competitive. So probably around 11, 12, I started to swim and play other sports. And then once I got to high school, decided to focus on swimming, and was lucky enough, like when I went to high school, I went to Bishop Hendricken in Rhode Island. We had at one point won like 24 straight state championships. So,
Yeah.
we won every year. It was fun to be a part of that. As a freshman, you come in and you're just kind of a part of it. And then by your senior year, you're kind of the major contributors to keeping that thing going. And I think my senior year, I was 18 years old. It was our 18th win in a row. It was kind of cool to be a part of something that, had spanned my lifetime at that point. And was lucky I had a mentor. My high school coach was a great mentor, and still is. And from there, decided to swim in college. And, um, through college, even though I knew I wanted to do phys ed, thought I'd like to coach in some respect, maybe just high school or something. And never taught a day. I got into coaching right away and really kind of loved it. And, um, a lot of the same things as teaching, but just a little bit of a different schedule, a little bit more competitive, and have loved it.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, did you ever see that world for you specifically to be a coach when you got into it and you focused on it in high school and like you said, all these championships and the success and experiencing that as a freshman and kind of going through it during your time at high school and so on and so forth. Did you get an inkling at one point that you're like, I like to teach, I like to swim, maybe these things are going to bond together? Did that grow within you at a young age, or when did that happen?
Probably not until college, as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I always knew, I never loved school. I never wanted to kind of have a desk job, sitting in the same spot 9 to 5 all day. So, I knew that was some part of the equation. I didn't know it would be coaching. I never thought, certainly even in college that I'd coach, at this level. But just kind of fell into it. Some things fell, timing wise for me where I was able to get an opportunity at Bryant. Our grad assistant when I swam at Springfield College took a job at Wheaton College in Massachusetts and asked me to help him out. So that kind of got me into, collegiate swimming. And it was really kind of just lucky timing of him asking and then an opportunity opening at Bryant when I was making a transition with the club team, and it all kind of just fell in line. So, it almost happened, I guess, in some ways by accident, to start.
Well, you make your way over to Binghamton in 2019, and then this little tiny pandemic happens, right? This little barely affected anybody, but no, I mean this pandemic, this worldwide shutdown, and masks and change and all of this stuff. How did you navigate through that? I mean, you had accepted your first ever opportunity as a head coach. You come into a school that you've never been to. You're the new leader at Binghamton University for men's and women's swimming and diving, and then the world stops. Bring me into that.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky in terms of timing. The pandemic didn't really hit until after our championship meet had concluded. So we got lucky in that sense of we had a full season. We kind of laid the groundwork. Coming in my first year, we had a great group of seniors that really bought into something new and how we were going to do things, which made that transition to a new staff really easy for us.
Yeah.
They wanted to do well. They wanted to be successful. So that made that transition very easy. And then fast forwarding to that next fall, we had 27 freshmen in that class. So it was like a whole new team. And then, you add the restrictions of we could only have a certain amount of people in a lane or in the pool. And so we had practice all day. And it was, definitely a new normal for a while and a challenge. I think at some point we got sent home before Thanksgiving and then came back and had kind of a non-traditional season that spring. When the men ended up winning, the conference for the first time in almost 20 years. So,
Yeah.
I think we just were able to manage it well enough that year. I think it was hard for everybody and we had a good group. And I think having a big freshman class that didn't know what normal was before that, at least here, helped. But I can remember we were out in Cleveland for basically the NIT meet for swimming. The week everything shut down and we were out to dinner and saw on the TV that the NBA was postponing the season.
Yeah.
And we were at this meet and we're like, oh, that's probably not good for us. And we go to the meet the next day and they kind of said, well, everyone's here. We're all on deck around each other. We're going to run the meet as normal. Teams are getting pulled home left and right. And then between the sessions, they said, tonight's going to be it. We're going to be done after tonight. So we left campus. Everyone was here and we got back like 3 days later and there was not a soul on campus. So it was a little eerie.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you experienced it really similar to me, is that the NBA stopped. I was supposed to leave the next day to the ACC tournament down in North Carolina. They decided to stop.
Right.
And when I saw, well, I'm sorry, it was the NHL, it was the NBA and the NHL, and there was like this agreement like, okay, we're all going to come together and halt. And then the ACC did it, and then other conferences followed suit. It was so strange and so eerie, but like you said, you had success within that. I'm going to run through a few things. So, Jerry, you get comfortable in your seat because I have a lot of positive things to talk about for your team, and the list is long, and I blame all of your student athletes for that. So, let's get into what's happened since you've been there. Going into this season for 2024-25, Binghamton Bearcats men's and women's swimming and diving under Jerry Cummiskey, their head coach. Let's hop into where we're at here. So a lot of awesome things to build upon. We have seen 13 men's school records, 11 women's program marks that have been set over 5 seasons, 10 Binghamton men's freshman records. We've seen seven women's freshman records since 2020, and also 44 men's all-conference selections, 16 all-conference selections for the women's side of things. The Bearcats have had a combined men's and women's 20 America East all-academic selections. On the women's side, we've seen 4 all-overall titles at the 2024 America East meet, and also we have seen that you have aided the Bearcat men's team to the 2021 and 2024 America East Championships as the first conference crown since 2003. And at the conclusion of each meet, Cummiskey headed up the America East men's coaching staffs of the year. Since 2020, the men's squad has won 29 America East individual and relay titles and has posted 8 conference records. This is your 6th season. There's a lot of great things to be had, especially in recent history in 2021 and in 2024. So bring me into how all this comes about, Jerry. I mean, you love the pool, you love basketball, you love playing other sports, you focus on swimming in high school, you go into college, you start thinking about maybe I could be a coach. I don't want to just sit and have a desk job. I want to be able to do something where I could teach and be able to move around. You go to Bryant University, you stay close to home as an associate head coach. You come to become a head coach at Binghamton. And since you've come in, really, we have seen success upon success and so many amazing things to build on, not just with the veteran student athletes, but with your freshman student athletes for men's and women's. So how does this all come about? How does this all happen that we have had sustained success and very recent success in the pool at Binghamton University?
I think a lot of the foundation of how we train and, the work we put in is kind of based off of, what I learned in my career and certainly, through what we did at Bryant. Some of what we do is very similar to what we did there. But I think it all boils down to we've been able to get some really great kids here, that have had talent coming in, but are also hungry to get better and work. And, just through the years, as we've kind of brought in some good kids, that they've just raised the bar of how we train on a daily basis, and they're willing to put the work in to get better, and swimming can be grueling and we beat them down and it's not always a lot of fun, but they do a good job of staying positive and embracing, the work we need to put in to see the results at the end. And I think now that we've won twice and, the expectation is that we win and continue to move up on the women's side in the conference, that, they're hungry for more. So, I think the main, strength that we have is our kids. We've got a lot of great, hardworking kids that do extremely well academically. We don't have to really worry too much about what they're doing in the classroom because they're very focused on what they're doing after their time here, which is great. Our team GPA is always right around 3.5, which is, really good considering all the time they're putting in and everything and the amount of engineering and challenging majors we have. So, but we've got a group of kids that want to keep getting better and in our sport, that's the name of the game.
And I want to take a look at the rosters and the makeup, and I'll start with the men.
Yep.
North Dakota, Illinois, multiple student athletes from Illinois, from Pennsylvania, as well as New Zealand. And, of course, I want to make sure Wisconsin, the state of Washington, Connecticut, and we have seen, obviously, the state of New York, from the Flushings and the Port Jefferson stations to Pittsford to right there in Binghamton with Tyler and Amir and Miller Place as well. Rush, New York, Waterford, Jamestown, Pittsford again, Elijah from Binghamton, Scarsdale, New York, Hewlett, New York, pardon me on that one, and Queens, I didn't think that would trip me up, Del Mar, as well as Horseheads. So when we look at the makeup of this men's team, and we have right there in the backyard of Binghamton, and then we have all throughout the state of New York, but then we have Washington, we have North Dakota, we have the Midwest when it comes to Illinois, and then you have other Northeast areas as well. Bring me into, and New Zealand, just how you create this makeup and the reality that it seems like Binghamton's really willing to go anywhere and to outstretch those recruiting bridges to wherever you find the right people.
Yeah, I think when we're recruiting, we're looking for guys that can come in and help us in a certain spot, certain event, and we're willing to work with anybody that wants to be here and has interest and can help us. And from there, it's just a puzzle of trying to make it work for everyone and get everyone here and build the best group we can. I think we're lucky, obviously, with the in-state tuition for New Yorkers, for the the value and the education you're getting here at Binghamton, it's hard to beat. Especially with private schools upwards of 90 grand a year this year. You know,
Yeah.
we can get a New Yorker through in 4 years for less than that. So, um, that sells itself. We get a lot of kids that are interested in school management or engineering or some of our sciences that, the academics are what leads them to us, and then we're able to kind of make it work for them. So, um, we've had kids from all over. We haven't had as many internationals, but certainly willing if we can make it work. And it's great to see the guys kind of come together and mesh and have one goal. But I think a lot of it is just the university is sells itself in some regards.
Yeah, and when you talk about the university selling itself, before I jump into the women's team and their makeup on the roster this season, what is it about Binghamton University that you think is the best sell, is the best thing to put forward when you're speaking to a potential student athlete coming in?
Yeah, I think the combination of great academic offerings for a really good price, and at the end of the day, swimming or whatever sport or whatever they do here is a piece of them being here. But, the goal is to set them up to be successful, 4 years from now. And, I think this place does that. I think all of our kids just about in the last 5 years have had a job or been accepted into grad school before our season even ends, never mind before they graduate. So, just their focus on their career and what's next, has been great. And I think this place does a great job of setting them up to be successful. And if we can do a good job and make them faster swimmers or better divers while they're here, then, great. But at the end of the day, what they're going to do after here is the main point.
Yeah. And building that toward the future and building that bridge, obviously incredibly important, and being an Olympic sport. Do you put that in the back of your mind? I mean, we've just seen Binghamton send someone from women's track to the Olympics who not only was at Binghamton University, speaking on Emily, but the fact that she grew up right there in the neighborhood, right around the campus of Binghamton University. So do you think about that? Like you said, the most important thing is getting them an education and sending them out that way. If we help them to be faster swimmers or better divers, that's great, but we're looking at the bigger picture. Do you keep that in the back of your mind when you have some student athletes come through? Like, there could be a future for some of these people when it comes to the Olympics. I mean, is that something that you key in on and realize that there could be more life? And we've already seen it happen with Binghamton.
Yeah, I think we've got kids who have some goals of Olympic trials or whatever for, higher level swimming. And that kind of just depends on what their goals are. We've got 6 or 7 local kids this year. And kind of the youth and club swimming around here isn't as big as it is in other areas of the, my light shut off, areas of the state. So, I think they've got a lot of potential, which is nice. And Eli's obviously a great example of that, and Maria, of kids who have come here and really just kind of blossomed when this has become their main sport or main season. So, we'll try to accommodate and get kids to the highest level that we can and they want to be. And again, when I was at Bryant, we had a guy who swam for Guam in the Olympics, carried the flag. That was a pretty cool moment for us. But really just depends. It's so hard as an American swimmer to make the Olympic team, never mind qualify to even go to trials. So certainly a goal to start sending some kids to trials and then go from there.
Yeah, and before I let you go, we're going to play some rapid fire, Jerry, where we get to put each other on the hot seat. Could be swimming related, could be literally anything: food, music, movies, TV, pastimes, childhood. But before we go there, to look at your women's roster for swimming and diving, obviously the state of New York is well represented, but there's some other places that you've reached out to beyond what we've seen state-wise or worldwide. On the men's side, we have Maryland added in here for on the women's team, as well as Portugal that I'm seeing. the state of New Jersey with multiple student athletes. We have Utah and Massachusetts. And we have also gotten, I want to make sure, Missouri is represented in this as well. And of course, like I said, so many places in the state of New York and Lafayette, Colorado with Celia. Just what you could say in that respect. I mean, when we put together men's and women's swimming and diving, what I've seen at multiple Division I levels is that there's a head coach overseeing all of it. And what people don't fully maybe understand in your job that I think can't go underappreciated is that it's men's swimming, men's diving, women's swimming, women's diving. You have 4 teams all within one. So all around the country, around the world, you're looking for these student athletes. But I'd love to get to your staff as well, because we have Maddie and Jesus and Heather and Dave and Lori. What can you say about the support that you have, knowing that you are literally running 4 teams at once, and that is no small task by any stretch of the imagination?
Sure. We definitely rely on our staff to do what they can to help our program. I think starting with, Lori, our strength and conditioning coach, she's been with our team, I think, 18 years. And I think in the sport of swimming, you often see, interns or the new person, working with the swim team. So to have Lori, who knows the ins and outs of how we want to lift, how we want to train, when we want to peak, and let her be able to kind of just run the show there without having to worry, are they getting what they need, is huge. So that's been, a huge help for us. Dave, Maddie, Jesus are all new to us this year. So we're working through, that transition of, learning the recruiting and the training and all the ins and outs of the back end of what we do as coaches, away from the pool deck. So it's been great. The first month here has been really good. Heather, our diving coach, is my wife. We just had a baby 3 weeks ago, so she's out for a little while. So, working through that piece as well, both at home and here. And then, we were lucky for the last 5 years with Coach Mike, who's now coaching club in Indiana. He was great, he did a lot of the recruiting and was great on deck with our team and really helped us, get to where we are now. And now we're looking to, continue to build on that. Maddie's been a great addition. She's fit in well and done well so far this first month and a half that she's been here. And we're looking forward to, keeping it going.
You spoke on your wife, Heather, being out. You just had a baby within these past few weeks. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. What has that been like for you I mean, you and your wife working together and building a future together? And what has all of this brought to, your life? Because it is unique to have a husband and wife, working hand in hand. And now when you throw a baby in the mix and a future swimmer or diver or both, I mean, how have you navigated through all of that and just, what it's like being a dad here in these first few weeks?
Sure. In terms of navigating it, it's kind of is what it is. We've worked through it and we do very well together. And I think, the dynamics between swimming and diving makes it doable in the sense of she's doing her thing with the divers and we're doing our thing with the swimmers. So it's all together, but at the same time, it doesn't cross over too much where, I'm very concerned with what she's doing because she's been here 10 years doing what she's done at a high level. So much like Lori, it's nice to not really have to worry about it. And obviously we spend a lot of time together, during the day here and at home, but it's been great, and transitioning now these 3 weeks, she's made it easy. She's kind of been a champ and been taking care of the baby overnight and waking up with her. I try to do the early mornings and help out as much as I can to get her some sleep. But, we've been lucky. We've had some help from family and she's picked up a lot of the slack. But, it's definitely changed perspective in terms of life and trying to get home and get out of practice, as quickly as we can after we're done in terms of, we've got guys that like to linger and do their pull-ups, which is great. But, at the end, ready to go and lock up so we can get out of here. But it's been good. We enjoy it, and we'll see what happens down the road.
And what's your baby's name?
Chesney.
Chesney.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
We saw some lists as we were looking through it. It was on a list. We both love Kenny Chesney, and it's just kind of a cute name that we ended up liking, and decided to go with it.
Well, my best to obviously to you and Heather and to Chesney and to this future together that's just begun. Yeah, no, I mean that's the most important thing, right? And I think Binghamton, what I've seen from student athletes and coaches and people in leadership is that family's important, and that's good for me to see because some schools don't have that. Some schools don't focus on the bigger thing and the main thing. Let's jump into rapid fire. You get to ask me the first question. It can be anything in the world, and we're only live on video and audio to people all around this country and the world, Jerry. So be gentle. What do you have for me?
Got to ask the first question. All right. Well, I haven't seen any of these shows before. So what led you to the Syracuse area or doing the show?
Yeah, I mean, I love the short story of the long version of the last 20 years, almost 21 years, is I love telling stories. I have a photographic memory. So I collected cards as a kid. I didn't realize that I was flipping them over and memorizing what I was seeing. And so I just started talking about it. And I love making people laugh. I love bringing people together. I have a strong faith in God. I would consider myself to be a positive person. So, and I like and I like being a storyteller. So from telling stories to making people laugh to the photographic memory to being a positive person, it bonded me with this, like, I'm not afraid of a microphone. You can put me in a room with a million people and have me on stage and everybody staring at me, and I'm going to go stand on stage and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what I do. So, I got into it because of all of those things kind of coming together. I want to make a positive difference. I wanted to not have a job in my life. I wanted to have a livelihood. I wanted to have something that's just me being me, with or without the microphone. I don't change my voice. I don't take opinions so that people can yell at me or listen. So I don't have to remember what I said because I don't lie. And, I think that what I've learned since joining in this world of media is that telling the truth is a rarity. Caring about people sometimes feels like a rarity, and humanity is a rarity. So I got in for a lot of other reasons, and now when I look at it, I'm like, I feel like I have even more of a responsibility to show people what media is supposed to be and to create a safe space for athletes and coaches and just people in general, to let them know that there is someone that is going to never change their words, distort their reality, and is always going to speak to them with respect, and on and off camera is going to make sure that they are not misrepresented, essentially.
Nice. Excellent.
So my question back to you, Jerry. What is the one food that you would swim relays for if they told you, if you had to be in a pool for just like an hour, just going a nonstop, what's the one food that you would put your body on the line for?
Probably easily pizza.
Okay.
My favorite pizza place back in Providence, Tommy's Pizza, closed. They've got a second location that's not quite the same, but it would have been Tommy's Pizza.
Tommy's Pizza. All right. Do you have
Absolutely.
a specific pizza you get there?
Just their plain old cheese.
I tell people all the time, if I'm going somewhere I've never been before, I get the cheese, because if you mess up cheese pizza, you gotta do something else. So,
Yeah.
what's your second one for me?
Interesting. Well, we're talking swimming and diving. Have you ever had any experience competitively swimming?
So, when I was growing up, I was at OCC, Onondaga Community College, ran this program, and there was 4 levels. And so I got through level 1, I got through level 2, level 3, level 4 was diving. And they only took a few kids, and you had to like make the cut or whatever. And it's funny because I just kind of did whatever like they asked me to do. I didn't think about like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. I probably should go back to that moment when I overthink, because I didn't overthink in the pool. I don't think I've ever overthought in the pool. And I made it to the final level, and I go back to that moment. My best friend didn't make it, so I didn't go do it. And I think to myself, like, it was such an honor to get there that I probably should have seen it through. But, I mean, I guess I would say that that was competitive back then. But I mean, being in the pool, I mean, I compete with myself every day. If I'm on vacation, I'm in the water for like 8 hours, and I literally go down to the pool and people lay out, whatever. I'll lay out for 5 minutes, and then I'm in the pool for as long until dinner or we go somewhere. And I think one of the best compliments is my mom and my ex saying that they think I was born in the water. And I will, if you pay attention to me, I will find a distant part of the pool, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go underwater, not going to come up for a breath, and I'm going to challenge myself to get all the way there. And then I'll start like doing different challenges. So personally, I'm always trying to see how well I can do. I love swimming underwater. So I always like to see how well I could do with that. But probably the competitive was when we were going through levels, and I was part of a very tiny group that was chosen to get to the end at OCC, which I'm honored, because my mom's the one that taught me, so I got to give her credit for that.
Okay.
Nice. My question back to you, Jerry, is if you had to jump into the world of any TV show and you got to be a part of that show as a character, what TV show would you want to live your life in, and why?
Wow. That's a good one. Trying to think of some of the TV shows I enjoyed. I might go with The Sopranos.
Okay.
Just in the sense of it's, I guess being a part of that world would be completely different, and seems like it would be pretty cool, to, see that side of life, especially, what you see in that show. So I would guess maybe that, they didn't often seem to be at work. So I guess maybe that would be a fun life, but yeah.
All right. Fair enough. That coming from Jerry Cummiskey here, the head coach of the men's and women's swimming and diving teams at Binghamton University for the Bearcats. A lot of success that we have seen since 2019. Looking forward to more this season, and definitely appreciate the team being hard at work. To all of your student athletes and to your coaching staff, as well as to Heather and to Chesney. God bless to you all, and thank you for taking time here on the show today, Jerry, and I appreciate you, and I look forward to hopefully getting to see you face-to-face soon, and to continued success with your programs.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon.